exec, el Vélez, el Vélez, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 102, re-uploaded, re-recorded. I had some technical difficulties. The visuals were fine, but the audio was not there, and I was greeted by all you guys telling me, hey, no audio. So, I had to get through work, then come home, figure out what was going on. Hopefully now you guys can hear me. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to go through the game twos that have happened, including Miami's and OKC's last night. And then we're going through my mock draft. I'm going to cut out the MLB portion. We'll talk about MLB next week. And then Formula One and NASCAR haven't really practiced or anything. So we're getting deep to the nitty gritty right now. On the last episode, I said that Amon-Ra St. Brown, it became the highest paid wide receiver in the league with this new contract. That's going to push up Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson. I expect to come around 32, maybe 33, close to $35 million a year, just because he's the one that's going to reset the market. This automatically puts certain draft picks in play for the Bengals, because they are probably not going to be able to keep T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So all that. Penei Sewell got a new contract. They shore up their left side of the offensive line for years to come, for Jared Goff or whoever they bring in the future at the quarterback position, and assure themselves they're all pro tackle. Other than that, let's get to these basketball games. They were amazing. We're gonna start with Cleveland. It was a blowout in game 2 versus the Magic. You just see you see the experience. You see that, these guys in Cleveland versus the Orlando Magic, such a young team, inexperienced, haven't felt playoff basketball. And you just see the gap of experience between this young Orlando team and this Cleveland team with Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen and people that have been, not in wars in the playoffs because they haven't gone rounds, but, have been to the playoffs before, especially Max Strus made it to finals last year with the Heat. People like that, they just kind of know what playoffs are, and you definitely see that difference. It's at home now. It's in Orlando, say at 7. I don't know if that will change anything. If there's a sweep alert in either conference, I would say that it's this series, just because I see the disparity in offense quality, because the Magic have let's call it what it is, the bad offense. They don't have a lot of shooters. Even though they're a defensive-minded team, so is Cleveland. So that kind of cancels out, and Cleveland has the much better shooting team. You look at guys like, of course, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Max Strus, Merrill, Isaac Okoro shoots a nice 3-ball now. You have Mobley shooting threes. So, they didn't really need anything for a lot from Donovan Mitchell this game, 23 points. Had Jared Allen with a nice double, 16 rebounds. So overall, was kind of like a dominating win. Nothing to really write home, but by 20. So the next one is the crazy one. The Knicks 2-0 against Sixers in one of the greatest 56.7 second sequences you ever seen in an NBA playoff game. The Sixers were dominating most of the game. Jalen Brunson was struggling once more. People weren't hitting their threes. The offensive toughness and the offensive blast at the end of the game, and Jalen Brunson being determined that he's a shooter and that something's gonna go down. His first made 3 was the one that put the game at 2 points. And then the sequences ensued. So they're going back and forth in the fourth quarter. Maxey is getting to them. He scored 35. So Embiid scored 33, 34. Great games from both. Kelly Oubre didn't give him much. Bud Hield didn't give him much. Tobias Harris didn't give him much. So it was kind of just them carrying the team, but they had a lead. And the Knicks, just with their toughness and DiVincenzo stepping up and Josh Hart going for 21 and 15. For a guy that's 6'4" to go 21 and 15 and grab more than 30 rebounds at 2 combined playoff games as a guard just shows you hustle. It's it's something that a Tibbs team, Tom Thibodeau is just kind of preached, and has the perfect team to do it. So they're kind of dominating all game. Not dominating, but Sixers have a lead. They, frankly, they should have won this game. And then the Knicks start, battling. Sixers start missing. Offensive rebounding takes over. And the last 56.6 seconds is it starts with a Maxey layup going to the rim. They come back to the other end. Well, let's start the actual sequence. The actual sequence is Maxey hits a 30-footer to go up 5 with 56.7 seconds left. After that, you drive down. Jalen Brunson has the ball, milking clock, dribbling, passing. It finds him again in the corner, in the left corner. He dribbles towards the slot. Shout out to the Mind the Game podcast with JJ Redick and LeBron. The high left quadrant, the slot. But he doesn't get there. He still stays in the corner, just a little bit higher in the corner, and he with a defender all over him, he shakes his defender, shoots the 3. It bounces, Kawhi type of bounce, except it wasn't like tunk, 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 tunk. It was more like one giant bounce. So it hit the top of the rim. It was in the air spinning, and then it goes in. His first 3 of the game, that cut it to 2. The inbounds happened. So the first mistake that happened in this sequence by the Sixers was that Kyle Lowry, him being 17 years in the league, champion, been in series that are dogfights and knows what the importance of every possession, this man decides to pull one of these in the game. I don't know what's going on. Grabs the ball as soon as Brunson's shot goes through the hoop, he grabs the ball. So already the inbounding clock, the 5-second violation clock is already running. That's why most people you see let it bounce, take their time, go to the sideline, let the referee hand them the ball. Because as soon as the player touches the ball, the clock starts running. So as that's happening, he goes to the baseline to inbounds under the backboard, which you shouldn't do either. And Maxey flashes in front of him on the baseline. But he's getting followed by Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. Josh Hart a little bit more ahead of him. Jalen's behind him. Kyle Lowry inbounds pass, hits Maxey. He grabs it. And then, like Stephen A. said, he was there. Frankly, he did get fouled. Maxey got fouled twice. He got fouled once by Josh Hart and once by Jalen Brunson. They didn't call it. And then so he goes on the line. Then the ball pops up. He grabs it again, falls to the ground, and then Josh Hart takes it. After Josh Hart takes it, Josh Hart kicks it out to DiVincenzo for a wide open wing 3. He misses it. Isaiah Hartenstein goes up, grabs the rebound offense, so nobody blocks him out. Grabs the rebound, fights. It bounces to OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby kicks it again back to DiVincenzo. Same spot. Cash. Go up 1, 13.1 seconds left. With 13.1 seconds left, the second, but besides, Embiid not being able to box out because of his knee and them just not being physical enough with this team down the stretch, the next thing that happened is that Nick Nurse didn't call a timeout before the inbounds pass, which he should have. He should have. He should have called the timeout before the inbounds pass, because then you go past half court and you take it on the side, on your side of the, to move up the ball. He didn't do it. He stand like this and didn't call timeout. Then he said he called the timeout. You look at the replay. He should have ran on the court in front of the referee. The referees are involved in the play. They're just looking at the play. They know the situation, time and score. So, timeout doesn't get called. After DiVincenzo hits that shot, inbounds happens. Maxey grabs the ball. Maxey's coming up as the time's running down. And Maxey at 30 feet kind of just passes it to the right to Joel Embiid to take a 30-footer, misses it. Knicks win. Now, Joel Embiid said about fouling and stuff like that, but the way that they played, they can win. They're going to Philly now, and I think they can win a couple games in Philly, and this becomes a 7-game series. But what I worry about for Philly is that Brunson still hasn't woken up, and this guy's a guy that scored 28 in the regular season And in the playoffs, he's a playoff riser. We've seen before. Last year he was, and even when he was with Luka, he was as well, which is what got him to New York. So I think it's still scary hours a little bit for the Sixers just because Brunson has not been at his elite peak and you're down 2-0. But you're heading home. You played well. You should have won that game. So I have more faith in the Sixers than in the next team that we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. I told you guys. I told you. It doesn't matter what lead they got. It doesn't matter how good they play. 5 minutes left. They're going to one play. Jokic, Murray, pick and roll. Try to stop it. They went 9 for 10 at the down the stretch. But the sequence was crazy. So the Lakers are leading all game. The lead gets up to 20. 15 at halftime. They get it up to 20 with 10 minutes left in the third. And then Denver starts picking away. LA went through a stretch that they didn't make like 10 shots in a row or 12 shots in a row. That's when the lead got cut to 10 at the end of the third quarter. Excuse me. At the end of the third quarter. They led all the third quarter. Until, so, off a made basket, Jamal Murray is bringing up the ball, and LeBron's on him. LeBron, by the way, Murray was not having a good game. He didn't have a first good 3 quarters. So, and Jokic didn't have a vintage first half that he, dominated. No, he started dominating in the third. Excuse me. And then, so this is what happens. Jamal Murray's bringing up the ball. LeBron's on him. LeBron causes a turnover. Game is Lakers up by 1, 93 to 92 with, maybe like a minute something left. So LeBron goes down, gets the layup. As soon as LeBron gets the layup, Jamal pushes the ball to Jokic, and Jokic pushes the ball up. He tries to get fouled. He feels like he's gonna get fouled, so he throws up a prayer, which wasn't even close. And at this point, you see the ball run through the air. You think it's gonna be a turnover, and this man Aaron Gordon grabs the ball, tight ropes the sideline as he's scoring a touchdown, finds MPJ in the right slot, and MPJ just gets that ball, rises up, and wets it to make it 95-95. Next play, D'Lo goes down, gets a layup. This is all after LeBron gets 2 threes in a row because Jamal Murray started waking up, and then Jokic started taking over. And they were battling within 4 points, 5 points, 6 points, like that. It was so tight at the end. But they were running the Jamal Murray Jokic pick and roll, and they scored 9 out of 10 times down the stretch. So they were scoring while, I think the Lakers scored 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. So really good, but it's not 9 out of 10. D'Lo goes, he runs, takes a high arcing layup, bounces it off the glass in. Nuggets up by 2. They go down the floor, and then Jamal Murray hits a step back jumper against LeBron, ties it up. 97-97. LeBron goes back down, gets this crazy shot off. They said it was a layup, but it really wasn't a layup. He gets fouled. It goes in. He goes to the line, shoots free throws. So now they're up 3. They go back down. Jokic goes down. Boom, gets fouled by Anthony Davis. And 1. Jokic ties it again. So we're at 99-99. LeBron brings up the ball, shakes KCP. KCP slides 15 feet back, and LeBron takes a wide open 3. Wide open with like 7 seconds in on the shot clock. And like 13 seconds in the game. Misses it. Denver gets the rebound. No timeout. Murray brings up the ball. Gets the ball from Jokic, brings up the ball. He gets the switch with Anthony Davis because Jokic screens. So he gets LeBron off of him. LeBron goes with Jokic. Anthony Davis goes with Jamal Murray. And as time is going down, Jamal Murray acts like he's going to drive. So he hard sells the drive. Stops, so steps back, almost leaning forward, almost falling, steps back. All while the time's going down. Anthony Davis contests as best as he can. Like there's a hand in Jamal's face. Jamal's like leaning back. And with 0.1 seconds left, Jamal lets that jumper go and it goes through the net without even touching the net. The shit did not even move. And I was like this in my house. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. 0 and 10. 0 and 10, and you play your best game. D'Lo goes 7 for 11 from 3. So he picked up the slack from game 1. AD gives you 32 and 8 and 6, I believe. On elite efficiency, he was 14 of 15 at halftime. But he only took 1 shot in the fourth quarter. And then LeBron gives you 28, 26, 12 and 8, or 26, 8 and 7. Something like a good game for LeBron. Efficient too. Hits his threes. And you still lose. You still lose. You were up by 20 and they walked you down. And there was no point in that game, including when they were up by 20, that I felt like, the Nuggets aren't coming back. It's inevitable. They are inevitable. And I love to see it because I'm not a Laker hater. I'm not a LeBron hater. I respect the franchise and I respect the player on the court. I'm a LeBron agenda hater and a Laker agenda hater. And the agenda for the Lakers is that they're in cahoots with the NBA, getting calls, and that is doubled when they have LeBron on the team, and the NBA is trying to push LeBron to every finals he can get to try to pass Jordan. That's just my personal opinion, but there's a lot of people that think the same way. In my opinion, he'll never pass Jordan. But that's besides the point. They got walked down. Now you're going to LA 2-0 and, have lost 10 in a row, have had double-digit leads in seven of the last In 7 of the 10, 3 straight you've had double-digit leads and you've blown it and played amazing. While Murray hasn't woken up, which I think in game 3 and game 4, you're about to see vintage Murray. I think he was getting his form back, at the end of game 2. And Jokic, you can't stop him. He dropped a 20. What he dropped? I mean, it was insane. Insane. Jokic dropped 27, 20, and 11. He has 4 of those games all time. Nobody else has more. He's on a list with Kareem, Dave Cowens, which is an old dude, and Wilt. Kareem, Wilt, and Dave Cowens. And I believe Tim Duncan or David Robinson. But they only have 1. And Kareem, I think, has 2. He has 4, and he's 28. All-time great, man. And it's time. The era has ended. The Curry, as much as I hate to say it, the Curry, LeBron, Durant era is over. It is time to usher in the Jokic, Anthony Edwards, SGA, Luka, Giannis, that era. Jason Tatum, that era has begun. And I'm here for it. Probably the best doubleheader playoff-wise that I've ever seen. Back-to-back, those 2 finishes. The way that it ended with Anthony Davis falling into the Denver bench as the ball's going through the net, and Jamal falling back from the fade. His response after in the press conference where they asked him, so what happened on that last sequence? And he literally just said Jamal Murray made a shot and drops the mic and leaves. LeBron complaining about fouls and the Sixers-Knicks game and reviews and replay. I love it. I love it because you're heading to LA, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I think you can win game 3 because I said that it was going to be Nuggets in 5. But if you guys lose game 3, you are getting swept again. Again. And this time in round 1. Not the Western Conference Finals, in round 1. Swept. Swept. This team doesn't care about you. They don't think you're significant. They don't even think you're not even on their radar. The fact that you're up 20 and they just walk you down is hilarious. That they can just say, all right, enough is enough. Let's pump the brakes. It's over. It's hilarious. The way that Jokic just kind of took over and Anthony Davis couldn't do anything with him. I'm talking about footwork, post up. He went post up 3 times in a row and could not stop him. This is after Anthony Davis went 14 of 15 in the first half, hitting jump hooks and 15-footers that he's never hit in 3 years. And, bro, I'm sorry for the Lakers, man. But you don't got no answer for this team. No answer. You don't got answer for Aaron Gordon. You don't got an answer for MTJ. You don't got you need Reeves, D'Lo, LeBron, AD, Dinwiddie, Taurean Prince, Darvin Ham, all to be on their A-plus game to even have a chance to beat this team. That's how far apart you guys are. People, everybody says, including LaShannon Sharp, LaShannon because, he loves LeBron. That's his GOAT. GOAT James, how he says. But you have to understand when it's over. 39 years old, 33 years, 30. I mean, Anthony Davis has 35-year-old knees and body. They are gassed in the 4th. Gassed. LeBron can't, he had a great fourth quarter. Scored 12, 2 threes, led him down the stretch. Was not enough. So watch out. Because you guys might get swept. And if you guys get swept, I'm going to be like this. because I've been telling you all year they have nothing for Denver. Nothing. The people that said that they have a chance, like I said in the last episode, D'Lo will shoot better. LeBron doesn't have a hurt foot. AD has been playing great and played the most in his career. Doesn't matter. You're out-coached, out-disciplined, out-game planned. They shot less from the three-point line than you and beat you. You've led for more minutes in this series and in this matchup than the Denver Nuggets, and you're 0-10 in a row. You don't got no answer. It's over. Okay? The next game that we're going to talk about is the Timberwolves go up 2-0 on the Suns. And I'm going to keep it brief because I know we're trying to get to the draft. And Anthony Edwards scored 15, but Jaden McDaniels and the Timberwolves defense clamped up. Durant with 18. Booker with 20. And Beal with 14. That's it. And then Jaden McDaniels not only clamped up on defense, but then scored 25 on offense. And the Suns were leading. And then they ran out the gym. Leading down the fourth quarter, the Timberwolves defense just kept being stifling, blocking shots, contesting, and the jump shots were not falling. Grayson Allen getting hurt really badly with that sprained ankle at the early turn of the third quarter, even though he wasn't shooting well the last two games, but that hurt him. And then Mike Conley hitting big threes, and Naz Reid doing his contributions. Ant had 15, but they, some of those 15 were loud because, they were important. Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't have his best game, but still contributed. And Gobert played well. Cat can play better, but he played okay. But he was in foul trouble, so that's why he didn't score that much. But he played great defense. And I think for the Suns, it's kind of just all right, you're going to Phoenix, and your best hope is that your guys get hot, your top three get hot. I'm talking about hot. I'm talking about KD dropping 40. I'm talking about Devin Booker dropping 35. Bradley Beal dropping 30. We're talking about that type of hot. Historic. Because against this defense going to travel. This heart is going to travel. The leadership of Anthony Edwards travels. They were one of the best road teams in the league this year. So, I think that overall, this series might be over. Might be done in 5 games. Timberwolves might get game 3. I don't expect them to. I expect the Suns to come out with a punch. At least with a punch, to punch them in the mouth, maybe get a 20-point lead and try to drive them off the gym in game 3 out of desperation. But this series, I think Timberwolves got this. Time to move on to Denver because that's who they're facing in the second round. We got a rematch of last year's first round, except Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert are there. And Cat. So I think it'd be very interesting. I think it matches up well with size and everything. So that'll be a dog fight, probably go 6-7 games. But I think this might be over in 5. Now the Suns can get hot and win both, and then this can go 6, 7. It can, because KD can get really hot. Devin Booker could get really hot, especially at home. Eric Gordon. But in this series, I expect that defense to travel. I expect the rebounding to just continue to be an emphasis. The turnovers, 20 turnovers by the Suns. 20. That led to 32 points off of turnovers. You're going to lose every time. Every time you're going to lose like that. Missed shots, not finishing rebounds, getting on the glass. Just hard. Just the little plays. And then just they add up until Timberwolves, kind of pulled away at the end. Shout out to the Timberwolves, though. I think that the reason Phoenix might not get two on their crib is because I think Ant is about to explode again. He exploded for 33. I mean, I think he might have a 40-piece one of these two games. It's just he's that type of player, especially like, yeah, he plays well at home, but on the road, he just loves that type of energy. And his team feeds into that. And his defense feeds into that. So I think he might have a big game and kind of just like say no to the Suns on their home court one of these games. Whether it's game 3 and go up 3-0 and set up the sweep, or game 4 if Phoenix wins game 3 if they get hot or out of desperation because they know it's a must win. But shout out to what Timberwolves, baby. That's why I said it was over. LeBron's not out of here. LeBron's about to be out of here. And now KD, round 1 and playing. You feel me? It's a new era. Indiana wins game 2, shooting the ball back into regular scheduled shooting like they did in the regular season. They scored 125, destroyed the Bucks. It was Dame with 34 and not much else. You know, everybody expects Indiana to win this series. I feel like if Giannis comes back, it might be a different story just because, like, Giannis in the playoffs is a different animal, especially for a team that is undersized and, thin when you get to that position of power forward and center. Also, Pascal Siakam cooked the whole game. He scored 38 from 3, from mid. We need more Middleton. The others have to contribute more. But Indiana is looking up, and Tyrese Halliburton's not being Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's still playing hurt with a hamstring or being tentative. But if he's his normal self before All-Star break for a hamstring injury, I mean, this series, yeah, you're looking at the Bucks possibly getting bounced. Now they're going to Indiana 1-1. Man, that's tough. That crowd, hasn't seen playoff basketball in a while. They have a team they can root for. It's going to be loud. It's going to be hostile. And, Dame better be ready. And I hope Dame time, persists. And at least they get one. Because if they go back home 2-1 and Giannis is still not playing, I think it's up. The Mavs tied the series 1-1 with Kyrie and Luka being amazing. Luka played defense. They shot 0 of anybody shooting against Luka while he was defending. Shot 0 of 11. Kawhi, PG, Harden, everybody. So he said at the end of the game, during the fourth quarter, they wanted to send double, and he said, nah, don't send double. I take pride in my defense. If he's going to play like that, this team's going to get a lot more scary. Because if Luka's going to lock down on defense and not be a cone, you got problems. Because everyone else is pretty good on defense. Besides Kyrie, everybody else can play defense. So, PJ stepped up in this game. Blake Lively played well. Danny Godfrey got hurt but came back. But now it's 1-1 heading to Dallas. And I expect us to play very well. So, and Kawhi played this game. Gave you 18, and, we'll see. Kawhi has to have one of those, performances defensively where he locks down LeBron in the finals when he was with the Spurs, or when he locked down, Clay and Curry when he was with the Raptors. Because if not, the Mavs have so much firepower. So do the Clippers. But the Mavs have so much offensive still. And if the defense is tight enough, they can win the series. But I think this is going 7. This is way too competitive. So many runs. But, yeah, so after that, I recorded the episode, right? But then the audio thing happened. So I'll give you what happened yesterday in the game 2s that happened yesterday. And man, shout out to the Miami Heat. Even when they are counted out immensely with no Jimmy Butler, no Terry Rozier, going against the 64-win Celtics in Boston, looking at 2-0 in the face, the Heat somehow, some way, make a franchise record 23 threes to beat the Celtics. Tyler Hero's 24-14 with 6 threes. The defensive game plan was great by Spoelstra. He didn't allow the driving kick. They didn't drive, stuff like that. And since the Boston Celtics love taking threes, they just head into the jump shoot. And then the all 5 starters for the Heat, Caleb Martin had a great game shooting from the field and for 3 big threes. Jaime Jaquez Jr., big plays. Jovic, everybody contributed. Bam, everybody contributed. Everybody. Tyler Hero make threes and main defense. Now it's 1-1 heading to Miami. And I ain't saying that the Miami Heat can win this series or they're gonna come and win this series. But we did last year against Milwaukee. I know Giannis wasn't there for 3 games, but this is without Jimmy. You imagine Jimmy and Terry on this team? We already got one in Boston. And this just proves what I've been saying all year. I don't care about the 4 wins. I don't care about the historic 50-point blowouts. When it comes down to it, especially against Heat, when Boston faces adversity, with shit like this, they kept up. 1 for 9 from the field. JT had a inefficient type of game. JB had a good game, but not a great game. Derek White didn't shoot that well. Hauser still made 3, but didn't make as many as we allowed them. We clamped up. We closed out on shooters. We mostly stayed home on shooters. They didn't want to drive that much. Even when they drove, we blocked shots. We played good interior defense. We secured rebounds, made turnovers, scored off of turnovers. Miami Heat basketball. Shout out to Miami Heat. Going to Miami. Do I expect us to get one in Miami? I do, but this team just gets stupid high. I'm talking about 45% from 3 and just shoot us out the gym. Now, we've shot in the last since last playoffs, we've shot 60% from the threes. I don't think if that's going to be sustainable, but we had stretches that get that hot. If our defense stays at this level, I have no doubt that we can steal one in Boston, in Miami. And if we go 2-2 back to Boston, it's a best of 3, and anything can happen in that. So I'm not saying we're going to come back and win the series. I'm not even saying that we'll get another game. I'm just saying that it's possible. Just because it's the Miami Heat, we have the Celtics number. We're in their head. And when it comes to adversity in the fourth quarter, the Celtics do not want that smoke. And against Denver, they will get cooked, deep fried, just like against the Warriors. So shout out to the Miami Heat for gutting it out, man. Gutting it out and just changing up their game plan, shooting 55 threes. And 23 of them went in. It's the third time ever since the playoffs have kept the 3-point shooting stats. So I think like the 70s or 80s that a team has made 23 threes more. So it's a one-off, but it is the Heat. We still play defense. We still try to make you miss. And I feel like, Drew struggled too. So I feel like we have a little bit of a chance. Might be just a one-off. We might not have another game, but I'm glad that we got a game in Boston. That makes me feel good as a fan. And lastly, OKC destroys New Orleans. They 80 points plus combined from SGA, Chet, J-Dub. They had a 30-point lead in the third quarter. I mean, no Zion. Pelicans looked. SGA with an MVP performance, 33 points on elite efficiency. This is why OKC is the number 1 seed. This is why people were wrong to sleep on this team. Coming into playoffs saying, "Oh, too young." SGA is that dude, man. J-Dub is one of those dudes. Chet from is one of those dudes. And everybody, Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams, Kisson Wallace, Lou Dort. Everybody contributes. Everybody can shoot. Everybody can put the ball on the floor. Everybody pass. Everybody can defend. And they just clamp down on CJ and PI. There's nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. So 2-0. This is the other series that could be sweep. They're going to New Orleans now. They still have Zion. They're not going to have him for the whole series. So I think it can be a sweep because if they play like that in SEC basketball, that's normal. They played all season. But if they play like that in SGA's like that, they have no shot. It's sad because you would like to see Zion versus SGA. I think it would be a very competitive series. But I think OKC has this in the bag, and I think the series is over, frankly. Let's do the mock draft, because it's 6:20, and the draft starts at 8. Oh. I did draft based on what I would do for the teams. I did look at other mock drafts. I looked at, big boards and stuff like that. But I did based on what I feel the team needs and what would be best for them at this moment in time. Some of these picks, though, are kind of filling from certain mock drafts just because they make too much sense. And the players that were available at that spot or many other options that they would go but that player. So starting off, Chicago Bears, number 1 overall, they picked Williams. You put Keenan Allen, Tim Moore, and at 9, we're going to see who they pick to build him a perfect, as perfect as possible offensive structure with decent offensive line and for him to try to succeed. They say that he's the next Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if he's the Patrick Mahomes, but I know that with more Keenan Allen and the guy that we're going to mention at 9, I think that there's no better way to sell quarterback than that way for success. So everybody's known that this is the pick ever since before the time. So it's basically as soon as the NFL draft has officially opened, and it could be literally a second later. And you're the time. And with the first pick in the 2024 NFL draft, the Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams out of USC. It's a done deal. Another one that I feel it's a done deal, and people think that they might take Drake May or they might trade out of the spot. Nah. You don't get Cliff Kingsbury as your offensive coordinator to draft a guy that you have to sit for a year. Okay? Especially drafting a guy out of the same school that the other dude that you sent to Seattle Sam Howell is that. You get Cliff Kingsbury because Cliff Kingsbury has has worked with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Patrick Mahomes. You want to get him the best thing for the offense that he has, which is Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. They lost Curtis Samuel, but they're probably gonna add one later this draft, or maybe end one in the age because we're still signed. I think they go Jayden Daniels here. You take the Heisman Trophy winner, that kind of 5th touchdown, 40 in the air, 10 on the ground, runs a 4.3, beautiful deep ball, process, played in the SEC, big games, big time, 6'4", everything you need, and more closest to the Lamar Jackson mold. There is no brainer here. You turn that card in as soon as you are on the clock. No Drake May, there's no Brady back. No matter what you offer, you need a quarterback. You have the offense set up. You put this on the defense. It is time to get a quarterback that you believe in. Okay? Is that guy. At 3, the Patriots, another team that have been talking about trading back and maybe taking up another player, taking Marvin Harrison. You don't got the requisite amount of talent at the quarterback position with Bailey Zappi to playing around with Jacoby Brissett, to be playing around and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. You need to draft Drake May, sit over a year, and next year your actual rebuild and claim towards the top once more begins again. It's not going to be this year. You don't take L's this year. Next year, you can possibly get a top receiver in the draft, maybe another offensive lineman, a DN to help you, in the offense or defensive side, a real impact player. But this year, you take Drake May, you sit him for a year, and you start next year. There is no trading back. There is no let's get Marvin Harrison Jr. You're gonna make him fail over there, and he's one of the most fail-proof prospects he's the most fail-proof prospect in this draft. Sides, I believe. I don't know, Dallas Turner. Fail-proof. I'm talking about Brock Bowers, fail-proof. They're gonna do their shit. They're gonna be good. So don't overthink it. Don't believe in the hype. Take Drake May and move on. The Cardinals, another team that's been talking about trading back, and maybe because the Vikings want to go up to 4. Nah. You stay there. You get Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. and make him happy because you took away, because Hollywood Brown left, because Rondale Moore left. So he's throwing to Greg Dortch and Trey McBride. And Trey McBride is number 1 receiver and is the tight end. Get him a generational talent at receiver, a true number 1 at 6'4", and run like a 4.4, 4.3. Great hands, good lineage, and just let him and Kyler gel and just cook together for the next 10 years. There is no thinking here. No matter what package is, nothing. You take number 1 player on the board. This is number 1 player in draft. Over the quarterback is this dude. This is the top player on the big board, Martin Harrison Jr. At least for me and for a lot of other people. Plain and simple. You take Martin Harrison Jr. At the 4th pick, at the 5th pick, this is where it gets interesting. I'm talking about run Marvin Harrison Jr. You run him in. You go, yes, it's exactly what I want. At the 5th pick, that's where it gets interesting. I have one trade in this mock draft, and it's at the 5th pick. And it makes a lot of sense. J.J. McCarthy, Michigan. Jim Harbaugh coached them to a 15-0 record national championship at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh wants JJ, believes in JJ, believes JJ is the best quarterback in this draft class. He wants JJ to succeed, and he knows that the Vikings need a quarterback and loves Kevin O'Connell. And knows that with JJ and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, he's going to have an environment that he can succeed, kind of like Caleb Williams. It's a no-brainer here. Vikings trade up from 11 to 5 because the Chargers can still get their tackle, which is what they want. Some people might like Malik Neighbors. Now, I think Jim Harbaugh has JJ's future at heart. And I think that instead of picking Joel, which you have to flip him to the left side, you already have Rashawn Slater, Joel, left tackle. You have to flip him to the right side. No. You go to 11. Olushanu might be there. Tacey Fuaga, Trey Faltanu's going to be there. And you take your pick at that tackle position at 11. And you also have the 23rd pick, which you add the right receiver, which is probably like Anadai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. You think Xavier Leggett. You think of one of those guys. If Brian Thompson, I think he will, but no. So Vikings come up at 5. This is a no-brainer. You take J.J. McCarthy. He's a more athletic version of Cousins. You give Kevin O'Connell his guy, the guy that he can build around and mold to what he wants him to be and fully exploit his skill set. And you start the rebuild after Cousins with a solid piece at quarterback. At 6, the Giants do not have to think, don't have to even look at the word. Malik Neighbors. If you want Daniel Jones to have a successful season or career, because I believe this is the last time that this man will have a shot, you give him a number 1 receiver that is Jamar Chase 2.0. 6'1", runs a 4.3, elite route runner, great hands, deep threat, yak, everything you need in a number 1 receiver. You give that, especially with Darren Waller not thinking he's going to play this year, and Wandale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Dylan Hines hasn't picked up. Like, you lost Saquon Barkley. Get yourself a number one weapon. Guy that's on people's boards is number one over Martin Harrison Jr. Don't think about it too much. Don't trade back. None of that. Take Malik Neighbors. Period. You got to give Daniel Jones something to look forward to this season. If not, you basically wasted his contract, wasted the years, and he might not get a starting job ever again. He might be back about this. So, give yourself the best chance to not get fired, Brian Daboll, and get Malik Neighbors. I said this chalk. It's exactly what Tennessee needs: a franchise left tackle to put next to Peter Skoronski and protect Will Levis. You have Calvin Ridley, you have Treylon Burks, you have D-Hop, you have Tony Pollard the backfield, you have everything you need on the offensive side of the ball for Will Levis to succeed. You just need a left tackle. Take Joe Alt 6'9", be out of Notre Dame. You have no problems there. That should be ran in. At 8, another no-brainer. Atlanta, stop taking offensive players. Stop it. It's done. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Bijan Robinson, Drake London. You don't need no more offensive firepower. You got Kirk Cousins. You don't need no more. You need Dallas Turner, Ruben Conati, another Will Anderson in the Will Anderson mold out of Alabama. Satan's last class. This is a matter of pride for these guys. For Terrion Arnold, for Coolie McKinstry. These are all. This is pride. This is Alabama pride. Nick Saban's last class. You get the best defensive player in the class, Dallas Turner. No brainer. Put him on the edge. And then, now you can move forward for defense. Jesse Bates, Dallas Turner, and you can get something cooked. At 9, we said about the Bears. One more spot in the receiver room. One more spot. Well, you already have 2 number ones. You have Keenan Allen, the route runner, the veteran that's going to be a Hall of Famer. You have DJ Moore, a genetic freak that can yak all you want. Get a guy who is in the mold and has studied Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins. Rome Odunze from Washington, don't even think about this. As soon as you get to 9 and Rome is sitting there, you take him. I've heard Olu Fashanu. Why you want? No. Get Caleb Williams, unstoppable trio. Why do I say unstoppable? Because Keenan Allen is 6'4", Rome is 6'4", and DJ's like 6'2", 6'3". These is not a small wide receiver group. We have the veteran route runner that can teach Rome everything he needs about releases and everything like that. And then you have the yak guy, which can also teach Rome how to stay up, and and Rome has speed. He runs a 4.4, and you have a legit with Cole Kmet. You have a legit threat at every single position on the offensive side of the ball for Caleb Williams to have as built as for more success as possible. Because Ryan Poles is banking on Caleb Williams. So give him Rome Odunze and let him grow with Williams for the next 15 years. Simple as that. At 10, many things have happened. People said Brock Bowers for Aaron Rodgers. I say take Troy Fautanu. If you don't want Troy Fautanu, take Olushanu. Or Talif Waga. Take whichever one of those 3 that you want. You have to protect Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury. There's no way that you're going to go another year with this offensive line looking as bad as it does with a 40-year-old quarterback on a surgically repaired Achilles. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Breece Hall. You have Mike Williams. You can't take Brock. And I know that Aaron Rodgers turned Brock into an absolute monster, Kelsey-like, but it doesn't matter if you don't protect him, if he's intact. And in the division where I have to take the Dolphins out because we don't have no Christian Wilkins, no Jalen Phillips, and no Bradley Chubb right now because of injury. But, against the Bills, they're facing an 8-man front that is relentless. And against the Patriots, you're still facing Josh Uche, Matthew Judon, Christian Moore. And for the Dolphins, I think we're going to fix that either in the first round or later in the draft, but we need to address that. We'll get to what we pick later, but we need to address that D-line because losing Christian Wilkins is not acceptable. But I think that for the Jets, they need to take either I have Troy Fautanu here. But you could take Olu Fashanu from Penn State. You could take Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State. I got Troy Fautanu from Washington. Excellent pass blocker. Plug and play. So I believe that would be the best course of action for the Jets. At 11, because the Chargers moves back, the Chargers get Olu Fashanu. They get their right tackle to put next to Rashawn Slater, and then protect Justin Herbert and be able to run the ball. You want to run the ball. You know what I'm saying? But I've also heard in the spot maybe Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, a number 1 receiver to put next to Johnston. but I believe you could get a receiver later. I don't think these tackles are hanging around for long, so I think knowing him Harbaugh, he wants to start from within. He takes Olu Fashanu, the 11th pick. At the 12th pick, I think Sean Payton sees a more athletic, bigger Drew Brees and Bo Nix, experience, 61 starts in the college level, most ever, success, super accurate, 73% completion percentage. I think he takes Bo Nix. Might be crazy. He might take a corner. Shit, he might take Brian Thomas Jr., but I think that Sean Payton sees a young, more athletic, bigger Drew Brees and Bo Nix. I think goes with Bo Nix. I think that they need it. After the debacle with Russell Wilson, let him get his guy. And it only makes sense for every party. At 13, another quarterback. Michael Penix Jr. goes to the Raiders. The best deep ball thrower in this class. Most teams are not worth Michael. Checks out, runs over 4.9, can get out of pocket, has shown some escapability. Hasn't done much because he was pretty protected at Washington. But the best deep ball thrower in the class, somebody Devontae Adams would be happy to have. Jacoby Myers would be happy to have. Michael Mayer would be happy to have. Aaron Jones. So, overall, I think it's a no-brainer for the Raiders here. There's other ways that they could go, but overall, you go Javerse, Byron Murphy, Jerzon Newton. But for me, and Antonio Pierce and Mason and Max Crosby and what those guys want, I think that Michael Penix makes perfect sense there. So I got Michael Penix going 13 to the Raiders. At 14, now this is where I have to go to the actual draft order because I forgot who was at 13. I know the Colts are at 15. At 14 is the Saints. Not the Saints. They take J.C. Latham, tackle out of Alabama, proven commodity. Nothing. I mean, there is nothing to say more that you need after Ramczyk looks like he's banged up and not going to play this year or might not. And he's getting older. I think that you take J.C. Latham out of Alabama, proven run blocker, pass blocker, a matter of pride, Alabama's last class of Nick Saban. I think that would be a great pick for the New Orleans Saints. And then the Colts at 15, they can go one or two ways. You could take Brock Bowers for Anthony Richardson and give him Michael Pittman, Brock Bowers, and Al Pierce and Josh Downs. Or you go on the defensive side of the ball, you take the number one corner in Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. I got him taking Quinyon Mitchell. Maybe they take Brock Bowers, but I think that Quinyon Mitchell is the best corner in this class. Shut down. You put him next to Kenny Moore in the nickel. He's your outside shutdown corner against guys like Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell. And in that division, you got Calvin Ridley and you have D Hop. I think that you take the number one corner on the board. I've seen Terrion Arnold get mocked here. But I saw Nate Wiggins once, but I think you take the guy who has proven over in the process and the tape shows that he's clearly the best in this class. Fast, rangy, can have good hands, good ball skills, can cover, smooth hips, whole nine. You know what I'm saying? For the Colts. At 16, this is a very Seahawks pick, but the reason it's a very Seahawks pick is because it's either Brock Bowers or Byron Murphy out of Clemson, out of Texas, excuse me. I have him picking Byron Murphy. I think Mike McDonald, being a defensive mind, wants that Aaron Donald type, Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence type of presence that can get him pressure on the quarterback in the interior and let his edges kind of be, kind of on islands because of the attention a guy like Byron Murphy would demand. I think it just makes sense for Seattle. You get a guy that is quick-footed, speed the power in the interior, can move outside a little bit, smart, good hands, and I think the best interior lineman in this class. Some people might say Johnny Newton, but I think it's Byron Murphy. And I think the Seahawks take Byron Murphy over Brock Bowers in the draft, or they should. At 17, I got the Jaguars going number one corner. They lost their guy, DJ Williams. Darius Williams. So they just plug and play. Terrion Arnold, Alabama, best corner in the SEC. It used to be Kool-Aid McKinstry. He dropped a little bit, but he'll go later in the draft. Maybe in the first round, but maybe not, depending on the needs and how the board falls. But taking Terrion Arnold here at 17, I don't think that it's anything. I think that it's exactly what the Jaguars need after losing Darius Williams. Yes, you can add somebody to the outside, but I think they can do that in the second round. You need to shore up the outside going up against D-Hop, going up against Calvin Ridley, Nico Collins. Like I said, the same thing as for the Colts. So I think that you get your number one corner. You get the guy that you could leave on an island, Terrion Arnold, Nick Saban's last class. He's going to, plug and play. At 18, I have the Bengals taking Brian Thomas Jr. We talked about this when Amon-Ra got his $30 million contract, his $30 million a year contract. That, to me, set the market to the point that T. Higgins is going to ask for 27, 28. He already requested a trade. He's going to play with the team. But I think that you add another LSU superstar next to Jamar Chase, and you have the safety blanket. If T. Higgins, which you won't most likely do because you're not going to be able to pay him and Jamar, you reset the wide receiver clock on that contract, and you get Brian Thomas Jr. Now, I've seen other people say offensive line. Talisi Fuaga, Troy Fautanu, Amarius Mims. Listen, I get it. Even Byron Murphy on the defensive side, especially with Trey Hendrickson asking for a trade. Maybe you need that. Maybe Jared Verse. But I think that for the dilemma that they're going to face in the very near future, I think you get a guy that could be a number one receiver, is a touchdown monster in the red zone, led the FBS with 18 touchdowns next to a guy like Malik Neighbors. You put a guy like Jamar Chase next to him on the other side with a quarterback like Joe Burrow. I think that you can get cooking, especially this year because you have T. Higgins. So it'd be T. Higgins, Brian Thomas Jr., and Jamar Chase, and that is a tough trio to stop. Those are freaks, absolute freaks. So, in their best interest, I think it's better to take Brian Thomas Jr. over the offensive lineman. You might want to protect Joe Burrow, but at the same time, I think that you do the same thing you did with Jamar Chase. You take the weapon and you allow the offense to just kind of play itself. At 19, I have the Los Angeles Rams taking Jared Verse out of LSU. Speed the power. One of the most elite athletes in this draft class when it comes to the edge. It's between Latu out of UCLA and Jared Verse. Some people were mocking Bo Nix to the Rams. I have him getting taken by Denver. But Bo Nix can land here. I've heard that. I've heard that Sean McVay likes him. But the reason this makes sense, it's either. There's two logical picks here. It's either Jerzon Newton to try to just plug and play and replace Aaron Donald, which I'm not talking about plug and play and just like replace him as in like, oh, he's going to match his production. No, I'm saying like you lost your number one D tackle, put another really good D tackle prospect in there. You took Aaron Donald in round one, take Johnny Newton in round one. Or you take the edge, Jared Verse, you put him on the other side of Byron Young, and you go to town. And then you find your D tackle later. I think that it only makes sense. I don't think they should go offense. They have good offense. Cooper, Nakua, you got Kyron in the backfield. I don't think you need you got Tutu Atwell. You don't need offense right now. I think you take Jared Verse, you put him next to Byron Young, and you let them go chase after quarterbacks. You're facing Brock Purdy, whoever's playing in Seattle, which I think is Sam Howell at this moment in time. they were also getting mocked Michael Penix, the Seattle Seahawks. That can happen as well, but I have the Raiders taking Penix. I think Penix will go higher than people think. So I think that the best course of action is either taking Jerzon Newton or Jared Verse. I have them taking Jared Verse. The reason they take Jared Verse over Latu, I think the injury concerns for Latu that made him medically retire at Washington scare some teams. I like Latu because he's a technician and has a 96 grade as a pass rusher. And he is a technician, so he doesn't use his overall athleticism, although he's a good athlete, but he is hands, technique, leverage, angles. That's what he's about. A Nick Bosa type of TJ Wattish type of talent when it comes to technique. But I have him take him Jared Verse, speed the power, the freak, proven production. I have the Rams taking Jared Verse. At 20, I have the Steelers taking Amarius Mims out of Georgia. Sure up the offensive line. Some people have Brian Thomas Jr. going here. Some people have Adonai Mitchell going here. Xavier Worthy. Listen, you have to protect Russell Wilson. Even if you're going to play him the way he wants to play, which is outside the pocket most of the time, you have to protect Russell Wilson. You need to run the ball more, especially in your division against if the Bengals pick Brian Thomas Jr. and you already seen what the Ravens have done. So I think that you take Amarius Mims, you put him next to the guy he took last year, which his name escapes me right now, the giant dude. And you move forward with running the ball, your toughness, and overall, I think that's what who was it? Dan Quinn is the Commanders. Arthur Smith, I think that's the offense that he's going to run. He's going to just run, get him a big tackle that can road grade for Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. I think that they go Amarius Mims. Dolphins take Jackson Powers Johnson. We could also take Graham Barton. We could take Jerzon Newton. We could take Latu. Whichever one we take, I'd be happy with. But we need to shore up the offensive line. We were, Teron Armstead, it constantly keeps getting hurt. We were like on a third guard last year. I know the defensive shortcomings with Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips out and losing Christian Wilkins, and we need a guy like Johnny Newton or a guy like Latu. I get it. And I would be very happy if we go D-end or D-tackle. But I think we need to shore up that offensive line. Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon, big dude, technician, can block, can run block, can pass block. I think that's what the Dolphins do. It's a boring pick, but it's the right pick. At 22, we have the Eagles picking Talisi Fuaga. Lane Johnson is getting older. He's 34. He's been hurt. So, you have a guy there, tier 1 talent that can, take over for him. Super versatile. You can play him at guard starting off and then move him to tackle. I mean, I think he's a good fit for the Eagles. And I know Howie Roseman loved to build from within. If Johnny Newton is there, I mean, it's possible they take Johnny. But I don't think they would go D-tackle because of Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. I don't think that they need another one. I don't think they go Latu. They have Nolan Smith. They got Bryce Huff. I don't think they edges. Maybe they go corner. Possibly Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. Maybe Kool-Aid McKinstry. Out of Alabama, but I think for what they are coming up on in the offensive line, I think Talisi Fuaga would be the best pick there. At 23, the Chargers again. Now they get their receiver, Adonai Mitchell out of Texas, 6'5", jumps out the gym, absolute freak, former Georgia national champion before he went to Texas because he wanted to be closer to his daughter. So I think this is putting against next to Justin and and also Josh Palmer. You know, maybe you add another guy, but you know, I think that you get your number one receiver. I believe that he could be a number one receiver. He's fast. He runs a 4.3 at his size. Red zone threat, can blow the top off a defense. I think that this would be the best pick for the Chargers here. After getting picks 11 and 23 from the Vikings for them to go up to 5 and get J.J. McCarthy, I think it only makes sense to take Adonai Mitchell. You can go Xavier Worthy. You can go Xavier Legette. You can go Lad McConkey, but I think because of the size and Johnston not being that overpowering dude and hoping that he takes the next jump, I think you take a true number one outside X receiver and Adonai Mitchell at your 23rd pick, and you shore up your receiver room there. At 24, I got the Cowboys taking Tyler Guyton. You need to replace Tyron Smith. You got Tyler Smith that's gonna move your line. You need to plug in. So, you know, I think Tyler Guyton does that for you out of Oklahoma. And you know, I think that is just the right play. Some people have said maybe they trade back. Some people have said take another receiver, possibly, you know, I'm not saying running back, but, you know, they kind of need one. You know, you can go on the defensive line. You can go, I don't think they should go linebacker. You don't need corners. So offensive line is where it's at. So I think Tyler Guyton is good for them. At 25, I got the Packers going Cooper DeJean, the cornerback out of Green Bay. Listen, I think that you put him next to Jair Alexander. You also put him against next to Keyshawn Nixon with these new kickoff rules where you get 2 returners, and you have yourself a weapon on special teams and a weapon on defense. A guy can take it the distance, pick 6, can cover in man, can cover in zone, and putting him next to Jair Alexander, I think that's a great 1-2 combination at corner. The white guy really can't play corner for real. You can even use him on offense. Iowa was planning to do that before he got hurt. He's fully healthy now, ran a 4.3 at his pro day, had a great pro day. I think that this is a very good Packers pick here. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. 26, you lose Shaquille Barrett. The line is getting old. You need somebody to put with Vita Vea and Tryon Sharinka. Hopefully Sharinka keeps getting better than what he's been. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Chop Robinson, the elite edge, freak athlete, Micah Parsons comparison, like in build out of Penn State. I think that Tampa Bay makes really good DNs when they draft them. So I think Chop Robinson makes sense here. You lose Shaquille Barrett. You bring in Chop Robinson, fast off the edge, bendy, twitchy. Michael Parsons like a build. Runs a 4.3 as a D end. I think that you can't go wrong there. You take Chop Robinson and go to town. 28. Buffalo. No. 27. Nate Wiggins, the Cardinals. They got Marvin Harrison, the number one receiver. Time to get your number one corner. You take the fast Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, the fastest corner in this draft class, ran a 4.29 before he pulled the groin at the combine. Can cover, long, rangy, good hands, is a blanket, had really good coverage grades, you know, has some working to do, but overall the body of work, the talent is there. He's not a project by any means. He just needs a couple, you know, clean up things here and there. But has everything. He has the size. He has the length you need. He has the speed you need. He has the athleticism you need. Jumps a country mile. You know, jumps almost 40 inches, if not 40. And is what you need on the other side of that defense. So you have a number one corner that can stop. I don't know. You go against DK and you go against Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett and Brandon Ayuk if he stays in San Francisco, and you're going against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So with all that, in play, I think you take Nate Wiggins here and shore up your number one corner position. At 28, the Bills lose Stephon Diggs, lose Gabriel Davis, take Xavier Worthy, the guy that ran a 4.21 out of Texas at the combine. Speed demon, is the type of guy that can run routes. It's not just a vertical threat. I believe that this kid, if he develops right, he can be the next Tyreek Hill. He has that type of speed, type of burst. He has those type of hips where he's not just a straight line runner. He can run routes. He has to get a little bit stronger. That's why I said in a couple years, maybe he can bulk up kind of like Tyreek. He's taller than Tyreek. I think he's maybe an inch taller. Tyreek's 5'9", 5'10". I think this kid is 5'10", 5'11", almost 6 foot. I don't think he reaches 6 foot. I think he's 5'11", maybe 6 foot. I'll tell you right now, actually, I'll tell you right exactly how tight right now. His height right now is Xavier Worthy is 5'11". So, he's 5'11", bulk up a little bit from that 165, maybe get to 185 in a couple years and really be that speed demon like Tyreek was. With Josh Allen, has an 80-yard cannon. You can send him on deep balls. You still got to add to that wide receiver room. There is possibility that you might add T. Higgins, maybe not. I'm not hearing nothing. I'm just saying that might be a possibility that they can look at. Maybe Brandon Ayuk, depending on what happens with San Francisco. But I think Xavier Worthy, you add that type of nuclear speed to Josh Allen, arm talent, and you got a guy that can, really stretch the field and open up for you after losing Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis. At 29, I have who's 29? I have the Lions picking Johnny Newton. He falls down here in the I don't think he'll fall this far in the draft, maybe. But this is a guy to put next to Aiden Hutchinson and Houston, the Houston. That's your other rusher. And you put him with McNeil. This guy is going to get after the quarterback in the interior, and it's going to be who you want to double. You want to double McNeil. You want to double Newton. You want to double Aiden Hutchinson. You want to double Houston. I think that it's going to be a very Lions pick, right up the alley of MCDC. A tough guy that can just disrupt the interior offensive lines. Get interior pressure. You add that to the Lions, and they're a scary defense. I think there's a perfect pick for them. Jer'Zhan Newton out of Illinois at 29. At 30, I have the Baltimore Ravens kind of looking towards the future at the cornerback position, just like they did at safety last year with Kyle Hamilton. I think you draft. I have them drafting Kool-Aid McKinstry, the running back of Alabama, the teammate of Terry Arnold. I think that you put him on the other side, maybe with Marlon Humphrey on the other side. And when Marlon Humphrey looks like he's getting older, or you move off him, if you need to move off him, you put him into your number one corner, and I think you'll feel confident as he develops that he will be your number one corner of future there in Baltimore. You can add other things, but they have no holes on either side of the ball. If you really look at that team, you might go after another receiver just because OBJ is not there anymore. But I think Kool-Aid McKinstry makes the most sense for the Ravens. At 31, I have the San Francisco 49ers adding to the offensive line because Colton McKivitz might be out, needs competition at that spot. I have taken Jordan Morgan. I think that, Graham Barton is still on the board in this. I don't think he'll be on the board in the actual draft. I kind of just, there's so many good players that, he might go to the Dolphins. The Graham Barton, the guy from Duke. Right here I have the San Francisco 49ers taking Jordan Morgan at pick 30 to shore up that offensive line and protect Brock Purdy. This also could be a receiver. This could be McConkey. This could be Xavier Legette. Because if during the draft we have an A.J. Brown type of trade for Brandon Ayuk, this pick could be wide receiver. I don't have hours in this either. I could have fit him. I mean, you could fit him at 10. You could fit him 16. Somebody's going to get back at a very, 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 very good value, and he is proving. Come on, him and Marvin Harrison on the offensive side are, I think, are the best proven commodities in this draft. And whoever has them gets him, especially if he gets past 10, is going to have an absolute steal, might be the steal of the draft for Brock Bowers. That's how highly I think of him. I just didn't have, I went more by need in this draft. But I could definitely see him going to the Colts at 15. I could see him going to the Jets at 10. Even have people that like, possibly the Rams. Like he could fall in a lot of places. And then lastly, the two-time defending champions take Ladd McConkey, wide receiver, Georgia, two-time national champion. This kid runs 4.3, low fours, is a great outrunner, tough, great acceleration, great burst. I just think that he exactly what Andy Reid likes against next to Sky Moore, next to Rashee Rice, especially because we don't know how many games he's going to miss because he's definitely going to get suspended. You'll see, and just keep out to that wide receiver room. If you don't like Ladd McConkey, I think about another genetic freak receiver like out of Carolina. But you need to add firepower to that offense. You won a Super Bowl, but if you want to go for 3 feet of time to really build back that wide receiver, room back up, Kelce doubled every play. So Ladd McConkey here for me. I think he's proven, and I think somebody Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes would love. If not Ladd McConkey, I would take Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. And those are that's Evelez's mock draft for 2024 here on the Exec Talk podcast. Let me know what you guys say in the comments. Thank you for all support. I love you guys. We'll talk baseball next episode. Enjoy the game, the rest of the game. Game 2's done. Enjoy the game 3s this weekend. Enjoy Formula 1 where they're in Miami. 305 is probably going to be a stat domination again, unfortunately, but we'll see. Cross our fingers that is not. NASCAR's at Dover. A mile racetrack is literally high banked and it's treacherous. They call it the Monster Mile.